Line's good.
Never on.
Whoa.
Hard. Hardly.
Come on, Brent. Line's good. Got real close.
The hair high, right?
Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Ooh, welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham. Scott, alongside, as always. Hello, Scott.
That I am, Sean. It's been a minute since I wasn't here.
It's true.
Yeah. We've been regularly podcasting, which is a lot of fun.
Despite some challenges with schedules and whatnot, we've made it work.
That's right. We
Yeah,
made it
and-
work because we care so much.
Yeah, and I don't want to bury the lead here, Scott. The biggest news in the world of curling this week, as we record this Wednesday night, April, I don't know,
16.
15, 16. The girls are back. They posted an episode today.
Oh.
Yes. So Lori and Mary on Two Girls at a Game. I have not listened to it yet. Just honestly, 5 minutes before I came downstairs, I was looking at the blue sky, and they blue skied that they had just put an episode out on their feed. So very
Cool.
exciting news that Lori and Mary are back.
Yeah, that is good. Exciting. Now I'll have something to listen to tomorrow.
There you go. And yeah, nothing else important has happened in the world of curling otherwise.
No, that's it.
Yeah. So there you go. But Scott, we did have the end of the curling season as we define it here on the show. Everything that happens now from this point on, with the potential exception of what's going on in Nashville, which I don't fully understand what's going on in Nashville, but everything else is next season now. So
Yeah.
you know, when we get into the summer and like the Korean Championships, for instance, that's next season. This season is now done.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to get into one of our favorite year-end traditions, is the postseason power rankings, where we will go through and we will assess and situate the top teams in the sport as we are here now at the middle part of April with all the major competitions done. We're going to go through and see if we can rank top five men's, top five women's teams. We change the format a little bit every year. And this year we thought we'd go with top five for the men's and the women's. Scott, where do you want to start?
Let's start, Sean. We just had the men's world championship. So let's start with them, as that's the most recent.
Okay. So all right, let's see if we can do this by consensus then, Scott.
All right.
And let's start with the number one position, and I think this might be the easiest one for there to so it's for there to be a consensus. Bruce Mouat did defeat Yannick Schwaller on Sunday to win the Players' Championship. I will freely and openly admit that I watched 0 seconds of the broadcast. That Sunday afternoon, I was fully locked into the Masters. It's rare, given my travel schedule in April. The work thing that I go do every year often overlaps with the Masters tournament.
Mhm.
And those great 58 minutes of golf action out of every hour on Sunday. But this year it didn't. I was home, and I was really glad I was home. That was an incredible Sunday of golf, and I was on the couch all afternoon, and I really liked it. So I did not feel compelled to flip over at any point to that game. But I do know that Bruce Mouat won the game. He is the world champion. He won 4 of the slams this year, which has never happened before. These guys are really, really good. If they could only win their national championship, then that would really put them over the top. But really, just an incredible team. And I don't think there's really any doubt that they're the best men's team in the world. And hey, they beat Rachel Holman last Monday. So best team in the world.
Yep. Exactly. They beat Rachel Holman, as you mentioned. They had curling like 18 straight days, and they won 2 events. Like pretty crazy. Yeah, this one's the no doubter, Sean, the slam dunk. You mentioned, it would be nice if they'd won Scotland, but They are still the world champions and won 4 Grand Slam spiels this year. So easy consensus number 1.
Yes, I think so. So congratulations to Bruce Mount on just an absolutely incredible season for them. Now they haven't played Haitia Wang,
Yep.
so but yeah, probably the best team in the world, I think, there for them. So all right, number 2 spot here for the men on our power rankings. This is where it might be a little harder, Scott. As we look at the rankings, the world rankings, Yannick Schwaller is number 2. I don't think I would have him in that team in the number 2 spot as a power ranking, where we're sort of thinking about, like, essentially if we put all these teams in one event, how would we handicap it, and how would we sort of assess them? I honestly might go all the way down to I don't know. I was gonna say maybe Gushu. He's 7 in the world rankings. They didn't have the greatest.
No, they've not had a good
season.
year.
They weren't very good at the players. They should note they did get the last Briar spot. If John Epping had won the players, maybe not, but John Epping, they gave it a good go. But Gushu does get that last spot, so no issues on the team composition for next year as it relates to the Briar. But if it's not Gushu, Scott, then who is it?
Sean, it's Brad Jacobs.
Okay.
They won the Briar.
They did.
They were the best team throughout the week at the World Championships.
Okay. Here's my pushback to it. Here's why I was thinking Gushu. Gushu should have beat them at the Briar. And it's not necessarily what Jacobs did. It's Gushu missed a shot that he's going to make 99 times out of 100.
Yeah, but if Gushu's not making the shots, how can he be number 2 in the world?
Okay, fair enough.
Like, no, I'm not throwing shade at Brad Gushu, but they were not very good in any of the Grand Slams this year.
Right.
They lost 4 games at the Players. They lost 4 games at the Masters. Lost 3 at the National. I don't think they even made the playoffs.
They certainly missed the playoffs at the Players,
and at the National and at the Masters, and then I think they lost the final of the Canadian Open, but didn't even win the Pan Continental. I don't feel comfortable putting them at number 2 at all. But the way that Team Brad Jacobs is playing, for my money, they were the best team at the Worlds and ran into a Mouat team that didn't miss in the playoffs.
Okay. All right. So we'll go with Brad Jacobs at 2. Scott, then let's move on to the 3 position. And I got to be honest, I kind of like Ross White here.
Yeah, for me, it's either Ross White or you could talk me into Matt Dunstone. Just the year that they've had has been pretty strong. I don't feel strongly either way, but those are the teams that I'm flipping between.
Yeah, so Dunstone this past weekend, he made it to the semifinal in the Players' Championship, a rather convincing win in the quarterfinal against Mike McEwen, and then falls in the semifinal. Of course, lost that Briar final to Brad Jacobs. Ross White is your Scottish national champion and did win the lone Grand Slam that Bruce Mouat did not win this year. So I would say, based on the strength of those 2 wins, I might have Ross White a little higher.
Okay, but then Dunstone at 4?
Sure. So go Ross White at number 3, and then Matthew J. Dunstone at number 4. A good season, I think, for Dunstone. They did have the lineup change, of course, with Colton coming in and playing 3rd. What I really struck me, and we talked about this at the Briar, and again, it came through on the weekend when I was watching mostly the quarterfinal, but Colton Lott and Matt Dunstone, I think just the continuity that they've played together for so long. They know each other in terms of like how they throw, the releases. But I think just as important, and it really bugs me what has happened this year and the changes over the course of the season, is that continuity is not being prioritized. It doesn't seem to be important to teams. But when you know somebody, not just how they throw, but how they are as a person, what they're going to respond to when they're playing poorly, what do they need to hear? And maybe just as importantly, what do they not need to hear over the course of a game, over the course of an event? That is so important. And you just get the sense that these two guys, and I don't know if they're really close friends or not. Yeah, I guess that they are, but even if they're not, they know each other well enough that there's a level of comfort with each other, that you can be honest with each other. You know how to speak to each other. Like that level of knowledge and familiarity takes years, and you can tell when people have it and when they don't.
No, you're 100% right. And I think that's a big part of what Adam Kingsbury brings to Matt Dunstone, right? Is understanding all that little stuff, what he needs to hear, what he doesn't. He's just sort of worked with him for so long as well that he knows that. And then bringing Colton in, who has even more background with Dunstone, I think is just recipe for success. And like you say, they've had a really, really good year. Heartbreaking loss in that Briar final, but well-deserved spot in our top 5.
Yeah. And you have that at the front end of that team too, with the Harndens, who have known each other for even longer.
Yes, they have.
Yeah. All right. So those are our top 4. 5 spot here might be a little tougher. So you have Yannick Schwaller is the number 2 ranked team in the world. He's the only one who isn't in our power rankings right now from the top 5 ranked teams in the world. Mike McEwen is ranked 6th. We talked about Gushue at 7, then Mark Miskatowicz is 8. Marco Hosley, the Swiss team, is 9. John Epping is 10. Return as, despite a really bad year for them on their standard, is down at 11, but has somehow managed to stay at 11. Nicholas Edin is 13. Corey Dropkin is 12. So I don't know if we necessarily have to drop that far. Nick Edin did make the playoffs at the World Championship. Not the greatest week there at the Grand Slam event. I think, Scott, again, I've been more skeptical of Yannick Schwaller than maybe some other folks have been. The other team I would put on here, if it's not going to be Gushue, then I think John Epping has really opened some eyes this year, and what that team has done. First year for the team, some changes. Tanner's not skipping, I think, for the first time really ever in his life. And then you have Jacob in the house. I thought it was interesting. This is the first I've really watched them over the weekend in that quarterfinal game. And I don't know if Jacob wasn't confident on some of the line calls, but he was certainly being overruled by Epping a few times. And so that probably just will come with comfort, or it could have been just that game. Ice was tricky, whatever it was. But they had a really good season. They started in the 30s, now up at 10. Had to go through the nonsense related to the foam before the last Grand Slam. That was really just people blaming them for everything that was going on, essentially. And that they're able to come back from that at the Briar and then have a good week here at the Players. So I don't know. Are you with me that it's either Schwaller or Epping?
Yeah, I am. And like, I'm looking at the records of all these teams for the year, like overall records. Winning percentage for John Epping, 753. It's the second best record after Bruce Mowat.
Mm-hmm.
Not as good against the top 10 teams in the doubletakeout.com rankings, but so I'm of the mind, like, I think maybe you give the tip to Yannick Schwaller for that silver medal at the World Championships, but we give John Epping an honorable mention as the first team out. in honor of the Ken Palm
The
stamp.
Ken Palm rankings. Yeah. So Schwaller won the Shorty Jenkins, the Stussels Oakville, and the Swiss National Championship. Second place at the Baden Masters, fourth at the Euros, and then second at the Players in the Worlds. Made the playoffs at the Tour Challenge and the Masters. Also made the playoffs at the Aztec Safety event. So those are some pretty good results. The 3 wins on tour, if you count the Swiss Nationals as a tour event, that's a pretty good resume for them on the season. If you look at John Epping, they've had pretty much the same number of wins. They both won in the 60s. Schwaller had a few more losses. They played more games overall. Epping had 5 wins on tour. The Stussels Toronto, the Stussels Collingwood, the Ed Wernick event in Arizona, the KW Fall Classic, the Duluth Cash Spiel. So some pretty good wins on tour. Second place at the Red Deer event. Made the playoffs in Penticton, the Western Showdown. So more wins, but maybe not as high profile wins, and not having as many high profile posted results. So the events they went in, they did really well and they won a bunch of them, but they weren't in the same caliber of event as Schwaller over the course of the season.
Yeah, I think the highest ranked team in any event they won was maybe sorry, I just lost it. I was looking at it. John Schuster.
Okay.
So, and they beat them twice in events that they won. So, yeah, I think I'd give the slight edge to the Swiss team on this one. But yeah, John Epping, amazing first year with this foursome together, and we'll see what damage they can do next fall.
All right, so that'll do it for the men's side. Our power rankings are Bruce Mowat, Brad Jacobs, Ross White, Matt Dunstone, Yannick Schwaller, and an honorable mention to John Epping. All right, so Scott, let's switch it over to the women's side. And I think there is similarly a very easy case to be made at the number 1 spot. It is, naturally, of course, Danielle Inglis for her amazing earrings at the Scotties.
Definitely great earrings, Danielle.
On that last draw where she was playing Carrie Galusha, the actual logo of the Scotties. Those were incredible.
Yeah.
But no, it is going to be a different Ontario team, or at least Ontario-based team. It's got to be Rachel Homan.
It's got to be, Sean. They're the best team in the world, and they beat everybody in front of them this year.
Yeah, I think
they lost 8 games.
The gap is almost so great. It's 115 points in the world rankings for the season. The difference between them and everybody else this year is so much so that I almost feel bad putting anybody second.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
it is like they
second should be vacant.
Yeah. A vacated second spot, go right to 3.
Yeah. So yeah, they were just dominant all throughout the course of the year. Not only did they win the World Championship, but as you said, they only lost the 8 games. They won the Canadian Open, the National, obviously the Scotties, second place at the Players and the Masters and the Tour Challenge. They were in all of the finals for the Slams. They won the points bet. They won the Pan Continental. They're just really effing good.
Really, really effing good.
All right. So the number 2 spot then, Scott, is maybe a little more up for grabs, but I also think this is pretty clear to me. I think it's going to be your silver medalist from the World Championship, silver medalist, or excuse me, the gold medalist at the Players Championship, beating Rachel Homan in that final, Silvana Tirinzoni. They also won the Euros this year, the event in Basel, the Bernese Ladies Cup, a couple second place on tour in Canada, playoffs at pretty much every slam that they entered. The only real hiccup for them, Scott, was their 3rd place finish at the Swiss Nationals.
Yeah, another team that just one day they'll win their country.
Yeah. And sorry, let me correct myself. No playoffs at the National or the Tour Challenge for them there. So, I mean, good season for sure, but not quite as good as Rachel Homan.
Yeah, and I think a little down based on what we're used to from this team, but by any measure, it's a pretty great year.
Yeah. All right, Scott. Now the 3 spot, a little more interesting to me. I think you could go based on the world team rankings, which has Anna Hasselberg there, but I'm not going to do that. I might advocate here for Kim Eun-jun and the Korean team, just because of, or no, sorry, not that team.
Kim Eun-ji?
Yes, Kim Eun-ji, just because how good they were at the World Championship and how, frankly, good they were at the World Championship last year. And, I've said this about women's hockey in the Olympics, that I would sign up for the Americans and the Canadians just playing a best of 7 series for the gold medal. And I kind of feel this way about Kim and Homan. Like, best of 7, please, because whatever they play, it is great.
It is usually good, yeah. At the same time, Sean, Team Kim didn't make the playoffs at the AMJ, where Team Kim Eun-jun did.
Yes.
These 2 teams, for my money, are like neck and neck. Coming out of Korea, causing problems for teams on tour.
Yep.
If I look at their total record on the year, Kim Eun-jun 58-22, Kim Eun-ji 67-32. So advantage in the percentage to Kim, but advantage in total number of wins to Kim.
Yeah, they won. Kim won 3 times on tour. The Curler's Corner Autumn Gold Classic, the Hack to House Alberta Curling Series Women's Major, the Korean National Championship, gold at the Asian Winter Games as well. So, Scott, I mean,
those wins
might take it for me, especially, the national championship, right? If we're taking these 2 seasons against each other, certainly winning the national championship gives Team Kim more opportunities at the Asian Winter Games, the World Championship, the Pan Continental, that the other Korean teams don't have, but they did win that event. So,
yeah.
And I think I might give it to Kim on that.
Yeah. Okay. You've talked me into it.
All right. So
at the same time, do we go Team Kim for number 4?
I think that's fair. I think, it's hard to necessarily punish a team or say that they should be lower if they're not in these events, because, well, they can't be. So yeah, did have a good season. A couple wins on tour. They won the Stu Cells Toronto and the Gang Young Invitational, second place at the DeKalb Spiel, playoffs at the Tour Challenge and the Players and the Canadian Open and the National and the Masters. So pretty good results. Third place at the Korean National Championship, second place at the KW Fall Classic. So again, really good results for them over the course of the season. Just not winning those Korean National Championships, it sets you behind.
Yeah, totally fair evaluation.
Okay,
so we've got Team Kim coming in 4th.
Yeah.
So now who's number 5, Sean?
So world rankings wise, we haven't talked about Anna Hasselberg. She's the 3rd ranked team in the world on points. Carrie Einarsson is the 5th ranked team. I might not go in the Carrie Einarsson route only because of the lineup change and the uncertainty. Like, we didn't really see them play as a team at all this year. And what is the lineup going to be next year? Are we assuming that it's Carrie, Val, Shannon, Kristen next year? Or like, I don't know. Like, I don't think we have that clarity yet on what the lineup's going to be. We do know that Brienne Mayer is not on the team anymore. She's going to go play with Kate Cameron. So that part of it is resolved, but we don't have clarity elsewhere up and down the lineup. I'm assuming it's going to be those four, but that does depend on Shannon's rehab from her knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
But so that makes me hesitant on putting Anderson in there. And for Team Hasselberg, it just, again, they're really good. It just wasn't, for their standards, it wasn't great. Like, they won the Masters, they won the Oslo Cup, lost the qualifier at the Worlds, lost the final at the Euros, playoffs at the Players this weekend, missed the playoffs at the Tour Challenge. I mean, but yeah, if it's not either of those two, then we're in the world rankings, 3 Japanese teams in a row: Fujisawa, Yoshimura, Tabata. Are either of them? I don't know if I'd put either of them or any of them ahead of Anna Hasselberg. So as I talk, I think I might be going with, or leaning towards the Swedish side.
Yeah, I think Hasselberg's the right answer here. I looked at Isabella Rana as well, but just not the performance against the top 10. Really looking at everybody, I think everybody suffers from having played Rachel Homan, and so Rachel Homan and Tirinzoni, so has pretty poor records against the teams in the top 10. So I think it's Hasselberg based on her year, but also based on reputation. If you combine those two, I think that's where it should fall.
Okay. So we will go with Anna Hasselberg in the 5 spot. When you look at everyone else there in the top 10, we didn't talk about Sungyoung Ha is the 10th ranked team in the world. They had a good week there at the Players. And then Xenia Schwaller is 11th. You mentioned Isabella Rana, Kayla Skrillik, Wang Rui from China, Christina Black. Then we're into sort of that sort of middle class, more like elite middle class team on tour.
Mm-hmm.
And
Christina Blackshaw, 46-13 on the year. So
they were great. They were great at the Scotties. Like, really,
very
really
high winning percentage. Just fewer games than a lot of other teams on this list.
Yeah, I would like to see them. Hopefully, I mean, the Players is 4 fewer teams, but I hope that they can get back into the slams next year. They got in by winning the Tier 2 this year. Hopefully, they can sort of maintain a point where they can get more of those invites for next season.
Yeah, they're a really good team. So for sure.
All right, so for our postseason power rankings. On the women's side, Rachel Homan, Silvana Tirinzoni, Kim Eun-ji, Kim Eun-jung, and Anna Hasselberg, with an honorable mention to basically all the other women's teams in the world. This is what I think we kind of just did.
I think so,
yeah. So there you go. So Scott, it was an exciting season out there on tour. Again, things changed, and there will be some changes as we go through the course of the summer. Don't expect too many more lineup changes out there, but as we go into the next season, and certainly it is the Olympic year, as we look forward to the Olympics in Italy in February. We know Bruce Mowatt's going to be there. We do not know if Rachel Homan is going to be there. But going into the season, those are the 2 teams who you would say right now, if you're going to Vegas and putting down a bet on curling at the 2026 Olympics, those 2 are going to be your favorites.
Yeah, definitely.
With maybe longer odds, though, for Homan, because we don't know if she's going to be there, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Right? Like, you might get lower odds on Tirinzoni or Hasselberg because we know that they will be the teams than you would get on Homan, even though if Homan's in the field, she's the favorite.
You're right. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So there you have it. Our postseason power rankings for the 2024-2025 season. Let us know what we missed, who you might have in your top 5. And you could do so by following us on the socials at Game of Stones Pod, Game of Stones Podcast on Facebook, or you can let us know, GameStonespodcast at gmail.com. Of course, if you have not yet, please do subscribe wherever you got the shows, comment, like, rate, all that kind of stuff. Helps other people find the show, keeps us growing. And you can head on over to the website, GameOfStonesPod.com, for all of our past episodes and a link to the merch. So, Scott, again, there is something going on in Nashville. It doesn't seem to be competitive. I don't fully understand what it is. It seems to be mostly a social media play from what I can tell.
I think so. Yeah. I think it's a social media thing. But you know what? If somebody else can tell us what it's all about,
great.
I'm up for that. So please explain.
Yes. People were voted on to go. I think there was a skills competition at some point. Someone said that maybe they're filming it, said it might be on Sportsnet at some point, but not like as an all-star game, as like I don't know. All I know is that I hope they're having a good time down there in Nashville. I believe Vernon Davis was there.
Yeah, and there was another football player that was there. George Kittle, I saw. Okay, was there.
Okay, there you go. Maybe it wasn't Vernon Davis then. Maybe it was George Kittle. I'm mixing up my San Francisco 49er tight ends. I don't know. Yeah. Vernon Davis, who Mike Singletary famously said, can't win with him. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. Or what is it? It's can't play with them, can't work with them, can't win with them, can't do it.
Can't do it. Sean, again, I can't find betting odds for curling anywhere. You know what I did find betting odds for?
What's that?
Hurling.
Oh, yeah. Very popular Irish sport.
I believe so.
Yeah, they fill like 60,000 people stadiums, I think.
So if you ever wanted to bet on hurling, easy. You can do that like that.
Yeah. Do they have blank ends in hurling?
I don't think so. But even if I go to like Olympics,
nothing, eh?
Yeah.
All right, we got to get Matthew Hall on the case here.
Yeah. Let me look at Aussie rules football.
Yeah, you can bet on that too. Bet it in the middle of the night. Make the bet, go to bed, see if you win.
Yeah, you know what? I record those games. They're pretty fun.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was in Australia for the grand final in 2019, I think.
Okay.
18, 19. And it was really fun, like going to bars and watching it with everybody who's like really into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know what's happening. And I would cheer at the right time and be like, yeah.
So it was a success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big time success.
All right. Well, good job by you, Scotty, both in your Australian football knowledge and on the show this week. Hope everybody out there enjoyed it. We'll be back with you again next week, where we will do a full preview of the Mixed Doubles World Championship, which I know we said the season is over, but I was talking about 4-person.
Yeah.
Mixed doubles is different.
Mixed doubles still on.
Yeah, and that's kicking off next Saturday. So we'll be back with you next week to go through the field, do a full preview of that event. So until we talk with you then, keep those brooms on the ice and don't dump that intern.
Make the final.